Yay.
What's up? In today's video, I thought I would go live with my husband to talk about some common money issues that couples face. And we took some questions, so we'll be answering those as well as talking about some of the stuff that we've gone through. We've been together for 8 years and
Yeah, I know.
Married for 6. We have our baby over here. So she is making a little bit of a oh, hang on. I've got some echo over here. Let me close that down. Okay, so this is Carlos. Here, scooch over so that we're more centered. Okay, we're doing good. Okay. I haven't gone live on YouTube before, so it's a little bit.
This is exciting for me too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so why don't we start with answering the questions that we got. And if anyone's catching this live, go ahead and drop some questions. And we'll start with that, and then we'll talk more about our personal journey, because I think some of the questions we'll answer like using our own experience. And if we haven't experienced it, then like what we would do if we were in that position. So yeah, thanks for coming on my channel, babe. Oh my God, you're the best. Whoa.
Okay.
He is so cute. Oh, Stella, hello.
Hi, Stella.
Hi. Oh my God, my sister's climbing the Appalachian Trail. So like follow her because she's doing epic things over there. Okay, so let's look at some money questions. So, okay, well, I'm going to start with this juicy one first because it's a little like, whoa.
Spicy.
Yeah. Okay. Excuse me.
We're
trying to talk. Yeah, we have a baby, a 3-year-old and a 19-year-old. So there's a lot of money stuff going on between all of that. It gets very complex. So let's try not to shake this. I keep shaking the computer, but okay. So here's the question. My husband racked up a large balance on a credit card behind my back. How do I deal with this? So
did I do that?
No. I mean, you would be the one that would have to tell me. How do I know? Yeah. Oh my God. So first of all, I want to say that 2 out of 5 people experience financial infidelity. I looked this up as I was like doing some research for this. And basically that means they've done something behind their partner's back financially, whether it's get into credit card debt like this person or do something like buy a property or something. Like I've seen some stuff.
Yeah. Something. Yeah.
So let's start with, what would you do if I did that behind your back? Like if you found out, because obviously it's going to catch up with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it would be, first of all, be shocking, especially because we've been so open with our financial situation from like date 2. So I think it would be just shocking. And well, I mean, it would make me start asking questions. You know, I mean, especially because again, we've been so open with it that it would just make me start asking a whole lot of questions. And then how to resolve it, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
Okay, so if this happened, if I found out you had this credit card debt, what I would do first is like, well, we must have gotten into a really like crazy place personally where we just don't understand each other anymore so I would try to understand why. Like, why did this happen? Thanks, Judy. She is so cute, right?
Thanks.
She's got a runny nose too. So
yeah, I guess I would to piggyback off of that, I would wonder why, if you did it, why you felt the need to do that.
Yeah. So I think it would
hide it from me, you know, like why would you do that?
Start with a conversation of like, what led you to do something like that? Is it like, have you felt too restricted in your spending? Yeah. Have I been on your ass a little too much or something? And then those like made you feel the need to, and if that was the case, then like, okay, I need to understand how to receive information better. We have a communication problem. So I think learning how to communicate, which Carlos and I actually just got this book called, what's it called?
Nonviolent communication.
Nonviolent communication. And I've read almost all of it. He's reading it.
Oh.
And it's really helpful if you're having communication issues with your partner. Nonviolent communication. I was hesitant to read it, but all my friends have read it. My sister read it. And it was just like something. I was like, okay, you know, when like one person levels up, you kind of need to like level up with them or you're going to get left in the dust. So I started to feel like that. Are so rude, right? So
yeah, I guess it would make me, those are very fair questions, as like, if why would I do something like that? Yeah, I mean, those are very fair questions. Like, what led you to go?
Yeah.
What would have led me to like get a credit card behind your back or buy a car behind your back or something like that?
Yeah. So it would start with understanding. So basically, the takeaway tip is come at it from a point of understanding, even though I think it's incredibly wrong in like, you just shouldn't go behind your partner's back and spend money like secretly, you know? But if it's happened, and it does happen, it's common. So it's one of those things we can't be too overly judgmental about, because it's just going to make the other person feel even worse. Because I'm imagining like they probably already feel like crap if they put themselves in that position. So trying to understand truly why, and then really like making a commitment to not make it worse and saying like, okay, let's solve this together, and make like a new commitment to say like, let's have a certain dollar amount that we talk about before we spend money and something like that. And then kind of like come at it as a team approach to get it taken care of. So
that was a spicy one to lead off.
I know. Okay. Judith says buying stuff behind the other person's back, I believe, is a communication issue. Yeah, big time. It's like, we all have a limited amount of money that we're working with at any given moment. So, and different needs that each part needs and wants that each person has. So to try to be open about those. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. If you're living together, not married, should you split expenses evenly or relative to how much each person spends or makes? I mean,
living together, not married. I mean, it sounds like you're already married.
Well, not necessarily. We lived together for a year before we got married, and it's kind of testing the waters.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Like it's that pre-marriage.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Pre-marriage stage.
And great question. I think while you're testing,
do you remember? Well, because this exactly applies to us.
Yeah.
We did this.
Yeah.
So we could just use what we did. And how we did this was at first, Carlos moved into my house. I lived in a very affordable small house. It was $100,000. The mortgage was like $900 or $950 or something. So at that time we were just dating. It was important to me to keep my bills very low because I wasn't at the place. I wasn't making six figures. I had debt. I was still trying to increase my income and all that stuff. This was 8 years ago. So, I told Carlos, like, look, it's a priority for me to get good with my finances before anything. Mm-hmm. And I was already working on it before I met him anyways, but it was just like, I wasn't at the place to rapidly increase my expenses. So anyways, we split 50-50 at that time because we were living very frugally. But then when we decided to kind of take our relationship to the next level, was it still before we were married?
Yeah, when we moved to 55 West. When we moved to 55 West, and like, you know, we're engaged. I'm pretty sure are about to be engaged. No, we were engaged, and that's when we went full.
Well, before that step, what we did was, I don't even know if you remember, but it was like, it took me a little while to fully share money because I was nervous and I didn't want to lose that independent woman feeling. Yeah. So we did,
you're right.
But I still wasn't quite ready to live in a better place. So what I said was that if we are going to move to a nicer place that is a higher monthly payment, I'm not at the place where I want to spend that much money. So what we did was we split it 60-40 because my income wasn't as much as his. So he paid 60% and I paid 40%. And that allowed me to still save up some money, but also we were able to increase the quality of our life with our living situation. And so we split things 60-40 for a while because so to be proportionally. So I think if you're at that point, and that felt fair to me. At first I was very hesitant because I wanted to keep it 50-50, but at the same time, it's like, well, we could have stayed in a cheaper place, but it's like that's making him stay in a cheaper place when he was ready to upgrade. And that led us to that happy medium of me feeling comfortable with upgrading, but also like, I don't want to spend that much money yet. But if you do, like, you could pay a little bit more, but we'll still split things. And having that 60-40 in place made it easier to just have a guideline. And then he paid for like dates, and then we split bills and everything like 60-40. So how was it when you both decided to blend your finances? Yeah, and then she said we answered it. So.
But it was I think it was more of, I remember it. For me, it was not, I don't remember being that stressed about it, but I remember because of the trying to keep the independent woman thing, like trying to maintain your identity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was a link, I think a little more of a challenge for you than it was.
And also early on, you just don't know if you're going to be with your person forever. Like even when we first got married, it was like, are we going to be together forever? You got like, that's the goal.
Yeah.
But we've both gone through a divorce. And so if you've gone through a divorce, you just know that you can go through a divorce. Divorce is real. And so that's kind of, it took me a while to come around. And then eventually I was like, how we made the transition was it became way too annoying.
Oh my God. Yeah.
To figure out our bills, to like transfer money over here and then over there. And then we're going, and then we like,
it's already taken we're already taking this risk, right? Getting married, but in my opinion, it was just like, might as well just jump in all the way, and it made just natural sense for me.
Yeah.
At least,
And because we were like, I had saved and invested to start my business. And so my plan was to like sell some of my stocks to like pay for, and then anyways, it was too complicating is what I'm saying. Yeah. And so we're just like, let's just merge everything and just manage it together. Okay, let me go to the next question. How do I get my partner to care about retirement savings when it's so far away? I hear this a lot with my individual calls where people, there's that whole idea of the YOLO life.
Yeah.
And then like, well, what about later?
Yeah. I mean, and as someone who got started late, and only because of you, really. And I knew I needed to start planning for retirement. I mean, and I was investing into my 401k inadvertently, and I knew I had to contribute. My dad had told me, hey, you might want to start doing this, employee match, all this stuff. But it just doesn't, when you're living in that day-to-day, just YOLO lifestyle, like you don't really think about what could happen 50 years down the line. So just to me, when it becomes tangible, I guess, in a way, or is when you start seeing like the compounding factor of it and you go, holy smokes, if we do this now, by the time we're 80 years old, 75 years old, whatever, or whenever we retire, like it's going to be like,
he says that because we have a plan to live to 100. Because like most people are probably like, I'm dead at 80.
Yeah, 100, 107.
He's like, by the time we're dead.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, by the time we get to retire, you start seeing the compounding and you're like, holy shit, like, holy smokes. I mean,
which we do have, like on paper, our financial retirement plan is like around age 60. And that gives us like, I'm almost 40, he's in his 40s. So That's
Yeah.
20-ish years.
And I shouldn't have said 75. I should say like even 50, 55, 60, you're like, whoa, this is becomes really, really tangible or really impressive when
Yeah.
you see the effects of compounding and what that can afford your lifestyle if you do it.
Yeah. So if you're like trying to get
I agree, Judy.
if you're trying to get your oh yeah, okay. So Judy says, Carlos, you're so fortunate to have Maggie.
Yeah.
She's a financial wizard. Yay, thanks,
Yeah,
Judy.
no doubt. I would not have invested if it wasn't for her.
So yeah, when I met Carlos, he had money in the bank. It was like, I always forget, it was like 70,000, okay,
Yeah.
in cash, not invested. Hello.
Yeah. What the hell am I doing?
I was like, what are you doing with this money? So then he started like slowly investing. At that time, like I hadn't built up my savings yet. I was still working on my debt payoff plan, which by the time we got married, I had got it taken care of and had money in the bank. But I think to answer the question, to help your partner care, like Carlos said, looking at the numbers and the compounding growth can be really impactful. So what I would do with your partner is have them sit with you and run a investment growth calculator and show them like, if we invest for the next 20 or 30 years, here's what that looks like. Because if you don't start saving for 20 years from now, then you have to save a lot more if you're like, say you're trying to accumulate $1 million, you have to save so much more per month later than like right now. You could accumulate $1 million with like less than 400 a month or something, maybe 500 a month. I don't know, depending on your age, of course. But like the earlier you start, the less you have to invest,
make up at the end, right?
To get to that point. So it could be a much smaller amount. And so I would also say, it's not a all or nothing. Carlos and I always try to think of like, how can we do both? If we have two things we're trying to figure out how to do, it's like, well, can we do both and how?
Yeah.
So then we'll say, well, let's put, if retirement isn't a big priority, like when I was saving to start my business, we put the minimum on the retirement accounts, like 3% or something to like just get the match, just keep the habit going.
Right.
But then once the savings or other future goals are met, then you can go back and up the retirement percentage.
Yeah, because when we were living together in your house, I remember that I was saving a ton. I was putting a ton into my retirement accounts because we had all this excess money to do so.
So that is
back. I know you want to do that, right? Yeah.
Okay, so I have another question here. Okay, this is another common one that I see a lot, but it says I'm a saver and my husband is a spender. So how do I get him to stop without being naggy? So if you like, from statistically speaking, I see this is a big thing for people where one person just spends more and the other person saves more. So that could be tough.
That is a tough question. I mean, by the time you get married, you should know. You should know. Unless I hid it from her like super ably. But you should know the spending habits of your partner.
Yeah, so ask if you're dating, like try to ask.
Yeah, she asked early. She asked day 2.
Yeah, day two. I was
asked,
how much money do you have?
Yeah.
How much debt do you have?
Yeah.
Like what's going on? But it's easy for me because I was a financial advisor. Those are the questions you ask every single person.
Yeah. And I didn't think anything of it, honestly. Like, or I thought it was interesting. I thought something of it that was so forthright, which endeared you even more to me. Like, wow, this is interesting. And so, yeah, I mean, you should know, but if you don't, and it becomes like an issue, like say I picked up, say I start playing golf every day or something, and golf is an expensive habit, or something like that, then again, it's just a conversation thing and just budgeting thing that you go into and be like, hey, like,
I think going back and focusing on like coming together and having a set of shared goals, shared reasons why. Like there has to be a reason why the person doesn't or changes their spending habits. So if you've got a spender on your hands, And I go in and out of being a spender, honestly. Like if there's things that like when we moved into this house, I wanted to like buy that couch and decorate the house and stuff. Like I go into like a spending phase, but I always keep an eye on like how much is going out versus coming in and making sure that is intact. But I think if you get out of whack, one good thing, like one thing that we do from time to time is we'll actually literally track our spending. So we have a worksheet and we just like for 1 month, like input every single thing you spend, you input everything.
Yeah.
And that helps to see like, where is the money going? Like, do we need to make any adjustments? And it's not to judge each other. And it's not even like, I don't even look over at his, like when he tracks it, it's just like ballpark, like how much money is going to food between the two of us, to out to eat, to like random stuff. And then saying like, you know, we said that it was a priority to go on a trip next year. So we're not saving as much for that. And a lot of money is going towards Uber Eats.
Yeah.
So for an example, right? And so that's when you like refocus on the goal and see what you can do to get on the same page. Because if one person's spending a good chunk of money and it's too much, well, then they lost touch with the why. Like, why are we not spending? Like, why are we saving? And having a compelling motivational reason to not spend is, I think, the thing that's going to help the spender. Because if Carlos said, like, hey, you need to stop getting so much home decor because we said we want to do whatever thing, then I would say, oh, you're right. Crap. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that hasn't happened, but we have these
miracles.
treats. Oh my God, these were sitting here
The entire time.
Okay. Whew, she is being so loud. I'm so sorry. It's probably not making the audio very good, but
I think it's making it better.
She's such a cutie. I know. I'm always caring about like the, aspects of
You're a
it.
YouTuber.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Okay. So I think, just to tie that one up, if you've got a spender and a saver, without being naggy, like have that, like, what are our shared goals? What do we want to accomplish in our marriage? And how can we do this together? I think that'll help instead of being like, why are you spending so much money? Because the spender probably just forgot why not to spend. Like, why are we saving? Yeah. So and maybe you guys don't have shared goals. So that could be something that you say like, okay, we want to take one nice trip a year. We want to go like give money to our family or help our kids with college or whatever, like those, shared common goals.
Thank you for that comment.
Oh,
you mean Maggie? Yes, she's very much a cutie. I agree.
Very funny. This one, jokes. Okay. How do you get out of debt when your partner is fine with debt? This is kind of similar to that last one. It's like you have to have shared reasons why. Like, why is it important to get out the debt? And for this one, highly recommend running your numbers in a loan payoff calculator. Let me see if I can drop one in the chat because there you will see how much money is going to interest, and it's just absolutely insane. And that money can go towards you guys and your goals. So I just dropped it in the chat. It's a great loan payoff calculator. And for this, I would say make sure you know the interest that you're paying on all of your loans, as well as the balance you have. And you should have somewhere written down the date you'll be out of debt, how much interest you'll pay along the way. And if you're not okay with that amount of interest and the length of time it'll take to pay it off, then it's important to go see what you can do to get that paid down quicker.
Yeah, but I think one of the big keys, at least for me, learning about this was, so I wasn't used to living with debt, honestly. Like I paid every card off full. I never really had a balance or anything like that because I was, living by myself, single from 20, whenever it was till I met you. And so, I, making pretty good money and living pretty frugally. So debt wasn't really part of my equation at the time, so I got used to it and almost started, what's the term, liking it, because if I'm paying 3% if we're paying 3% on car, I mean, that's very low, but let's say you're paying something low on your car, and which we luckily, that's what we were doing.
We locked it in at an early rate.
Locked it in
rate.
before the rates went up. If we're paying that on a car, but we're making 10% in the stock market on average, and it's been more than that, but like, let's say on average, then why would I take money away to pay? Why would I rob myself of cash on hand that's going to make more money rather than? So I'm just fine with having the debt. Like old Carlos would be like, oh, let's pay this car off right away. It's like, well, and now not so much. Let's just let it,
because we see the power of our investment accounts, and like on a good day, our accounts will be up like $5,000. It's really insane, and sometimes 10,000. It's been like you have you have days that it's down that much as well. But when you get to the point where you have some money saved up, so that brings us to the looking at that question is, you have to analyze the type of debt. If it's high interest debt, that's where the loan payoff calculator comes in. Right. If one person just hates debt and it doesn't matter, and the other person is like trying to manage debt, she just got her little teeth in, so I think she like bites her tongue from time to time. She gets really mad. But it could be a matter of managing the debt well. So that's the principle we live on now, because I read this book called The Value of Debt, and it talks about managing your finances as if you were a CFO of a company. Every large company out there they carry debt. They have a debt balance on their ledger, and they manage that debt so that they can use other people's money to grow their operations. And so you can do that as individuals as well, if the interest that you pay is reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm able to borrow at 5%, and I'm able to sell it at 10, it's kind of the same thing. Like, why would I not do that?
Yeah.
If people give me money at a low interest rate, and I can go make money on interest down the line, it's kind of the same thing with the interest rate. So if some of our big purchases are at low rates, then why would I go and, in a way, like not use that debt to our advantage, So it just makes, especially with inflation and everything, like it makes more sense to make sure the cash is current, or I don't know what the term is, but it just makes more sense.
Yeah. So we don't have a goal of being like debt free. We make our house payment, our car payment, and my student loan. We rolled it into a low interest thing, and like, don't worry about it. And we invest our surplus. So
now the high interest stuff, right? The credit cards, those are the ones that, like, it's hard to beat. It's tough to beat 20%.
Oh yeah. It's impossible. So you just
get really lucky, or you just do it.
You don't want to carry
and then
that.
You do the loan payoff calculator.
Yes. Yeah.
That she just.
Okay, so then what about, so this says, my wife had a $60,000 debt that she accumulated before we met. Is it my responsibility to pay for this? So this is, a partner comes to the marriage with debt. The other, I could see like both, like I see, if you worked really hard to be debt free and like didn't pay for your school, and then you marry someone and they've got all this debt, and it's like, oh God, you're like in the hole. Just
no.
So how do you
that's just.
How do you help people deal with that? Or like, how do you deal with that emotionally? Because that was like, I came to the marriage with debt because I had my student loan.
Yeah, but I think, I really didn't think much of it. I can't say it affected me, because I'm marrying you, so I didn't see that as that's not a roadblock. I mean, I have a hard time seeing that as like, oh, she's got debt. Ooh, that let me not marry her, because no, come on. Like, it's just it made no sense to me. So I just think that's just part of the person that you're marrying, you know? And so
then you just create a team. You take it as a team approach. It is.
I mean,
so now let's get into how we manage our money, because I've seen all these different strategies and people get kind of, honey, it's okay. It's here. Oh, she's frustrated. Okay, can you maybe go get her a bottle or something? And then okay. He will be right back. Okay, so Carlos and I, we keep it really simple, and I encourage people to do this as well, because I see things that where it's like it's just become so complicated to manage. And so what we do is we each have a credit card. We put everything on credit cards and pay those off. And we don't, so I've seen people have like their separate accounts, but we just have the joint account, and then we each have credit cards and we pay those off with the joint account. So money goes into the bank account, and then we just have our credit cards. We don't like look over what we're spending. We don't question each other. Like we just each have a good idea of how much money we're working with. And so a good way to do this is to have a sheet where you have all of your expenses that are fixed, your car, your home, all that stuff. That's like every single month you're responsible to make these payments. And then also your groceries, your fun, your other stuff, and I call this a snapshot. So have a financial snapshot of your household money situation, inflows and outflows. Also, while you're listening to this, I recommend having a place where you have your any passwords to anything. So if Carlos needed to get into my credit card, or I needed to get into his for some reason, like we have the passwords to that in one spot. Just because, if somebody passes away, like unfortunately, like it happens. And so I'm very aware of that. My dad passed away when I was 16. And so you kind of want to do things to set your partner up for as smooth of process as you can if that were to happen. One thing we added this year was life insurance. We didn't have that before, but we added term life insurance. Term and life insurance is the only insurance I recommend, because it's very cost effective and it covers you over a specific amount of time. So we added that, but like all the passwords to like that type of stuff in one place. But anyways, we have one account. We both have credit cards and we pay those off, and we each have our retirement accounts, but his is through his employer. I don't have an employer, so I just have my IRA. And when there's a big expense, that's when I like tell Carlos about it and just like make sure we're good. Like, how do you feel about it? And I'm usually the only one with large expenses because of my business. Like I'll hire a coach or upgrade my camera or something. And so those bigger expenses come to play. So for you guys, that's what I would say. If you have large purchases, like talk about it, of course, then you don't end up in that like financial infidelity we were talking about earlier, where like one person's being secretive, because that could, of course, cause a lot of problems. But yeah, so I just explained how we manage our money with the joint account and then into the things, because I've seen people have like allowances, and I don't really know how I feel about that.
I know.
Not good.
Not good.
It would be weird,
yeah,
right?
I've had that people know I give my wife X amount. It just sounds so.
Yeah. Or even like if you were only allowed 200 a month and I was allowed 200 a month or something, because some months he spends more than me, some months I spend more than him.
Yeah.
But like if you both, I think the key is to have to like know what you're responsible for paying and how much extra is left over, and the shared goals like will keep you not spending on random stuff that's like what are you doing? So
yeah, when home decor stuff comes around, or nesting phases come around, like I know it's like, you know what? Maybe it's Ross and Marshalls for me,
Instead of like
instead of Under Armour and like whatever it may be. And so
so he keeps an eye on my spending. If he like sees I'm spending a lot, he's like,
but if I do, if I all of a sudden go on a binge and start buying just random stuff left and right, and then she notices too.
Which is just like a computer or like upgrading tech stuff.
Upgrading tech, which is tech is
that's where
I spend on tech.
So I think, I don't know, anything else? We prioritize saving for retirement, but we do it in a way that's like, we're not so obsessed with retirement that we don't live now. We enjoy our money now. What we've done is we've run calculations to where it's like, okay, we have saving what we're saving now. We will have like more than enough in retirement.
Well, to that point, we're only saving enough for the match.
Yeah.
And so it's like what 6%, I think it is.
Yeah.
That we're saving. So because right now we're
investing in my business.
Investing in business.
Yeah. I heard somebody say, it's very expensive time for us right now. But I heard somebody say, like, why would you invest in the S&P when you could invest in the S&Me and like 10 times your returns? So that's, right now we're investing in my business and it costs money, unfortunately, fortunately, but like it costs money to start a business.
That's the way it works.
So, because I have an editor for my YouTube videos and lots of stuff, but once it like picks up more, once my channel is larger, we won't even need to put in more towards our retirement. But we could start investing more for other goals or property or something. Okay, I joined late, so sorry if this was addressed earlier, but what do you think, only if you each have your own jobs, about having one large account together and run your own smaller accounts? So we each have our own jobs, and he has a corporate job and I'm a business owner. So we don't both have corporate jobs, but we used to. When I worked in corporate America, I had a 6-figure job as a financial advisor. But even then we just had one account, and we have, the reason we use credit card for points, but it just also allows us that independence where it's not like we're just like overlooking each other's line by line all the time. Yeah. It's like, whatever. Yeah. But I think the separate accounts, like one large for your main and then like separate accounts, that didn't work for us or wouldn't work for us, because it's like, why? Like what would, like, let's say I started like saving up money and he was like spending all of it. Well, eventually I'm going to have a surplus in there. And then like, what am I going to do? Only spend it on myself and be like, sorry,
bro. Like you're out of drink, enjoy ramen.
Yeah. So I think the team approach with all of your money, and that works for us just because we're always on the same page with money. But
I mean, I see some merit to that though. Like because there's ways, right, to have direct deposit to one main account where you handle all your bills and all your stuff, and then the rest of the money. I can see that. I can see that working. It didn't really work for us, or we didn't really need to. But I can really see that like work.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. If you both have you both want to spend responsibly, but it's like harder to like figure out how to do that from the main account, then like that's when an allowance per se. I have like kids crackers in my hands.
They're delicious.
But that's where that could come into play. So I don't think it's a bad idea. Good point about the surplus savings. Yeah. Let us know if you guys have any other questions before we jump off.
I don't think there's like a hard and fast rule to these types of situations. Just because we didn't do it that way doesn't mean that it can't work. If it works for you that way.
It's like you want to do what makes you feel fair, and also like functional, because the splitting stuff and all that, it was like just annoying. It was tedious. It created more work for us. And so when you really, really think you're going to be together forever,
Yeah.
then
And sometimes when, like, if I was short on money on my checking account, I'd be, hey, can you Venmo me this? And then the same thing the other way around, when it was the other way around. So it's not.
yeah, for us, it was just more annoying where it was like, why are we like sending each other money? We're like Venmoing each other money back. And, we go to dinner and then we're like Venmoing each other money.
Yeah.
That's when we were like, that's when I finally was like, okay, fine. We'll just share an account and just, that's it. And so now we just think of it as our money and that's it. Like, yeah. So, okay. Well, just to leave you on a positive note with your finances, regardless of where you're at, remember that it's temporary. If you're in a season of struggling and stress and tension with your partner, seek out help if you can. If you can get couples therapy or financial therapy, or just sitting down together and watching YouTube videos like, hey, let's learn how to budget. Let's learn how to get out of our debt. Let's learn how to create shared goals. Do those things to get on the same page so that it becomes a harmonious marriage. And just remember, when you're married, it's for life. Like, at least that's what you're planning for. So if you're already doing all this like work for the like, what if, just in case we don't make it, it's like really not taking that long-term approach and setting yourself up for like, let's just like actually live like we're going to be together forever. Yeah. This is our money.
Yeah. That mindset I think is important. Like, are you married or are you not married? Yeah. So I think the mindset's important.
Yeah. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them and I will ask or answer them later. And otherwise, I will see everyone later.
Bye. Bye. All right.